Alright, so we are live.
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, this is good evening now. We're starting at 6. Let's bring this meeting to order. It's the City of Jax Beach special agenda, Community Redevelopment Agency meeting on Wednesday, February the 17th. Madam Clerk, I'll get you to call the roll, please.
David McGraw.
Here.
Gary Paytow.
Here.
Jeffrey Jones.
Here.
Francis Kowalski. Here. And Art Graham.
Here. Okay, first thing is approval of the minutes. We don't have the minutes, so we will table that until our next regular meeting. Let's go with Downtown Cape.
How's everybody doing?
Very well.
Everything's pretty much status quo from the last time I was here. We're still full in Downtown Cape. I've got Sergeant Sharp here tonight, and I have one of our Cape officers as well, Officer Young. Probably at some of these meetings, we're going to be bringing some of the other Downtown Cape officers in for two reasons. One, so they can see kind of what our process is, and they can see what some of the questions that you may ask and kind of how we respond and interact with you guys, as well as y'all kind of get to know some of our Downtown Cape officers as well. We still have Corporal Blaylock, who's been out with an injury, on the job injury, and he's been out for about a month and a half. I don't know how this is going to be going, so he may or may not be coming back to us. So if that's the case, then we'll get that position filled. So, but right now we're still full. Other than him, he's out on workers' comp, and that's really all I have for you guys right now.
Any questions on Mark Wayne's here? Yes,
I would say on my favorite little ordinance that the compliance on that has been real good. I hadn't noticed anything until just a couple days ago. I noticed a big old Cisco truck on front of Lynch's, but other than that, I've been impressed with how everybody's kept to the evidence.
Very good. Well, I appreciate that. I will say that Sergeant Sharp was in charge. He basically spoke to everyone, him and his team. So probably chances are, I'm not making excuses, that may have been a new driver, somebody wasn't familiar with it. But all in all, we got pretty good compliance. No citations written as of yet, but we're looking to that, if it keeps on. If it keeps on. If you do see it, definitely call us and we'll send someone down there. Also, just we are still working on the micro mobility ordinance as well, and that's for the scooters. Since the last time we have met with the owner of the business, myself, Mr. Stathopoulos, the city attorney, on Tuesday. And he's very forthcoming. He's very instrumental in gathering some of the information that the city council is asking for that. So as of right now, that's still being looked at, it's still being orchestrated, it's still being written. I do know that he has moved into a building now. We're on 6th Avenue North. He's in the process of making some business changes as far as with the scooters, but that's kind of still where we stand with that.
Yes, Francis.
I just wanted to say thank you, take time to thank you to talking to the chief in regards to the security stuff. He did reach out to me, we had a nice long conversation about it.
Very good.
Thank you for relaying that.
Very good. Yeah, we've our IT department took a COVID hit, and he probably told you. So it's been touch and go for all of us here for the past several weeks. Just trying to. So we weren't able to get as in details, but I did meet with him about the stuff we talked about last
I
time.
just want to say thank you for relaying it.
You're very welcome. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
And if y'all need me, I'm actually going to be leaving. I'm going to leave Sergeant Sharp here.
Okay. We'll take him in trade. Okay, old business. There's probably a ton of old business, so let's go to new business. Mr. Gilmore.
I'm going to introduce Kale Moore from the Public Works Department, as we've had discussions, and we'll make sure that everyone, I know David hasn't seen it yet at all, I know everyone else potentially has, but we'll send out electronically a copy of this plan. It was adopted by the agency back in 2019, it's completed in 2017, and it lays out all the standards and design approaches for everything from art to wayfaring to signage to landscaping and dollars actually as well. We'll be able to talk to you about dollars coming up very shortly as part of the site contract. But in an effort to move this forward, I have to thank Kale and his team at Public Works for moving ahead to negotiate a contract with Dick Height, including a construction management contract as well, to move this forward. I'd like to ask him to present the proposal and what we're talking about doing. This will go to City Council at their next meeting for their final action. And then, Carol, as we go through this, we can talk about the timing and when we're going to see something and what the process is going to be. That would be helpful as well. I forgot to turn my mic on. I'm sorry, Sean. Oh, you had it over here?
Yeah, thank you.
Cale Moore, Public Works, project engineer. There's really not a lot to present on this proposal. The bulk of it is in the plans that I guess Jim is working on making sure you have copies to freshen up on that, or maybe some of you look at it for the first time. We might have talked about this a little bit in the workshop, but basically there's been several years spent on developing some downtown improvement plans that include several different things like bike parking, improved bike racks, some site furnishings which have some planters, some garbage receptacles and bollards actually in the site furnishings. So I was not involved with the development of those plans, but the prior planning director asked me to help facilitate getting those implemented. Dick's Height was originally only charged with doing the conceptual design and coming up with an implementable plan, but not actually taking it to implementation or construction or installation in the field in the downtown area. So that's what I took on that role and worked with Dick's Height to go back to them and ask them to scope out a fairly basic scope of services to shake the dust off of these plans because they are a little bit, a year and a half, 2 years old, and make sure everything in there is constructible, proper technical specifications that we bid. Everybody can do an honest bid for on the same documents. We also are going to go around downtown again, and I'm going to get a little more familiar with some of the information that was in the original plan and maybe how they came to those decisions. And move a bike rack here, take one from here and move it across the street, because some of them weren't finalized on the exact locations. That was still left to be done by Bill or by other folks before construction. So that's all this does. It does not include, as I touched on in our last meeting or the workshop, this does not include construction administration services. So once we select a contractor, actually keeping an eye on the contractor, answering questions if they have concerns about some of the construction or implementation. That is going to be a follow-up request to you with another scope and a fee. The way we handle projects at Public Works is generally once we get to the point where we bid, we select or have a recommended construction contractor or installation contractor. At that time, we go back to council and the CRA in this case and council, and then we have a scope and a fee for the engineer or the designer to assist us during construction. So you can expect that scope and fee at that time. Time frame, this still needs to go in front of council for a final approval of the task assignment, and that's on the March 1st council meeting, and right after that, assuming everything goes well there, right after that I'll be able to put in a requisition, get by the end of that first week of March, get a purchase order, and then set up hopefully the following week, so by mid-March, set up the kickoff meeting with Dick's Height, and by the end of March, early April, we'll have the site visit, and probably no more than another 2 to 4 weeks after that to finalize the plans and advertise in the May timeframe. So advertise in the May timeframe for a 4 to 5 week bid opening. So we'd be looking at coming back hopefully as early as a standard June CRA meeting to recommend going with a certain some contractor or vendor to do the work and have that scope of services in the fee for you on the construction administration. And at that time, we would have hopefully we'll have a pretty good idea of how long the implementation or construction will take as well. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them on the details, but I can speak generally to what is in the site implementation and the bike parking plans. It does not include the area around the pier parking. There was some design for bike parking in there that's been held back now, and I've asked them to incorporate that into the plan Dick Hyde is working on for the pier entry in that area.
I'm sure we got a few questions for you. Jeff?
Would this be the time to, like there's been, I call them pet peeves or bugaboos about where things are located, and you had mentioned that trash receptacles was one of the things that they were going to be addressing. Would this be a time to raise issues, or when do we get to get some input?
Well, and that's a little bit tricky because we don't want to build something that, that everybody as a majority is not comfortable with or familiar with. But this has been through a pretty extensive workshop, public input, design, vetting process. So if enough people decide that something needs to back up and have some things relooked at, that needs to be addressed. This does not include that. This includes maybe a little bit of, okay, it makes more sense to put the receptacle over on this side or on that side. Now, how we get consensus of input from multiple people, that's, like I said, the intent of this isn't to go back and forth between meetings and presentations and workshops.
Right. But if you had a specific thing about a location or absence of something, I hate to see the plan all finalized and then raise, well, why didn't you do something here?
Yeah. Well, if I may speak, Jim, and you can kind of confirm this, but if we can get these plans to you, if you can individually look at the plans and maybe make some comments and get those pages scanned and back to Jim so he can share them with me. If it looks like there is concern about numerous items, then we may have to discuss looking at it again as a group. I can't make that call.
So if it's a logical concern, moving it from here to 5 feet over there, you guys are fine with that. If it's something about putting it on a different corner, then we have to bring it back.
Or if we get comments like, why are we using this style of receptacle? That requires kind of breaking this open and putting it back together again. I don't think we're looking to do that, but I'm not going to make that call.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's a good idea. Jeffrey, please do that, because the first phase of this contract is site refinement, site plan refinement to get into that. That's the first thing that they'll be doing before they move into planning, coming up with final design on hardscape plans.
So basically, you get something to us and we comment to you?
Yeah, but if you've got stuff in the meantime that you're concerned about, go ahead and send that in. Let's not wait.
Okay.
Our mission is to let's go ahead and get it done.
Okay.
And I will follow up that I would appreciate any of those observations that any of you have, because in the last several years, I haven't spent as much time downtown as I have previously. I wasn't involved with the development of this, so you folks may be some of the ones to have, and the designers have their ideas, and they may miss a few practical issues down there that you might be able to fill in and help us with.
Francis?
Jim, have you gotten that binder form with all the plans and everything like that? Inside there's 2 pages that show where they're planning to put stuff. So you could just photocopy that and start working on that before they give us anything, which I'll do as well. And I know Jeff said that he was going to provide that. Jim's going to give it to us as PDF for those who haven't seen it. So there are 2 pages in there that we can start working on as well.
Including trash receptacles?
Trash receptacles, light receptacles,
I haven't looked at it.
so it's in there.
It's all in
I'm just trying to find that. Okay, so back to my question. Sorry, I just thought I'd just throw that in there. I had a couple of questions. I did see your schedule here, which is good. There was the compensation, which is part 1 design. It has a cap as far as how much not to exceed today. That is what we're approving tonight, right?
That is. So this was originally a lump sum. We try to request our consultants and our engineers to provide that as a not to exceed, because if for some reason we don't hold a meeting that we may have held, then they don't bill us for it. So the only difference is that this allows us to not pay the full amount if there's some service they don't provide.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the only other comment was to say that if you look at those documents that are inside that binder or the plan that was approved like 2 years ago-ish, there are new bike racks that are not shown on there. So I'm assuming that's something you're planning, when you said you're going to go through and just kind of look at it, you're just going to go through and say, well, there is an existing one here, I need to put it on the plan. Is that kind of what you're planning?
So are you saying locations for bike racks or the actual styles?
Actual currently
Okay.
right now where they're laid out, like for instance, on 4th and 2nd, that surface parking lot, there's bike parking there currently that was implemented after that drawing, but the drawing doesn't show it. So
Okay.
I'm assuming that's what you're saying, you're just going to go through it and see where things are. Is that what you guys are
At
saying?
that level, I can do that. I've expressed to the Dix Height folks that, we do have a little bit of, like you said, some updating to do.
Right.
So,
And we can do that too, but I just wanted to make sure that, we do have
Yeah.
the proposal, it's just, that's not
Yeah.
on there.
I feel like we can pull a few here and there, and we can add a few here and there when we go around downtown.
All right, thank you.
Gary?
Phil, good evening. Kind of along the same lines of what Francis was just talking about, you kind of hit on one or two of the items I was going to mention, and that is that, we do have some existing bike racks in the city right now, particularly at the Cape parking lot, which is relatively new, looks very good. Are we following that same pattern throughout the city? And what are we going to do with the old racks that are located elsewhere in the city, such as across the street from Lynch's, which is that snake kind of pattern? Then there's a rack that's over, I believe it's on the beach side of Joe's Crab Shack, excuse me.
Yes.
And they're sitting in the sand. It's not exactly a place I would put a bike rack, but it's.
And I know at that location, there are also, I believe, at least 2 of the stainless steel ring bike racks, but they are not the same style that was selected as part of this project. So this plan has those 2 to be removed and a total of, I believe, 4 others to be located in almost the same place at that location of the new racks. Our intent was to, try to warehouse anything that's in good shape that we pull out in case there are other places, that they can be used throughout the city. When we get back to the style and the racks that may have been placed in the last couple of years somewhere, and if we want to match that style, or if the style that's recommended in this plan is close enough, that we go with that, and we have 2 slightly different styles, or if we change the style that's called out in this plan to match that style, those are things that you can see where this could kind of explode a little bit. So we will look at those. I will look at those with Dix Height, and if, I'll continue to communicate with Jim, and I guess it'll be maybe between Jim and myself and a few other folks to decide if we're at a level of concern that we need to revisit some of this.
I'm one of the board members who was not on board when that was all done, that work effort, so I have to play a little bit of catch up here to get up where everybody else is, and I have some concern only from the standpoint that what we do now is going to be the examples of what we're going to do in the future, so the decisions are really important at this stage.
They are. I think everybody's kind of weighing the same issues of, when can we actually start building something?
Yeah, and
so we're trying to find that balance.
yeah, agreed. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, concerns, comments? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
David McGraw.
Yep.
Gary Cato.
Yes.
Jeffrey Jones.
Yes.
Francis Kowalski.
Yes?
And Art Graham.
Yes, by your action, you approved. Thank you, sir. Okay, we got item for discussion. I want to remind everybody that we have to be out of here at 6:45. We are going to jump down to item number D first. Then we'll go back to A. They've narrowed down the search for our CRA program manager to 3, and they're going to be interviewing the 3 candidates virtually. There's, I about 4 people are going to be in the meeting room. Actually, it's going to be online. They've heard us, and they've invited one of us to join in on those 3 interviews. Because of sunshine, we all can't be in on those interviews. And I don't necessarily feel like it's got to be me. I was invited, I guess because I was chairman. If there's one of you that want to do it, and as a group we come to consensus, you're more than welcome to be elected to be that person to sit in on those interviews. And I think each interview is about 45 or 50 minutes long, and it's going to be on February the 25th, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. Now, I don't know if there's anybody who's chomping at the bits. Yes, sir, David.
How long is it?
Anybody else?
I'll be more than willing to stop up.
Yes. 1, 2, and 4.
I already have it.
Okay. So we're going to draw the short straw?
Well, may I just make a comment? And it's nothing about new, or it kind of sort of is. I'm just saying, since Gary has been here for a while, he kind of knows what kind of things we've been struggling with. I kind of feel maybe that would be a better option, nothing against you, but, I mean, there are serious things we've struggled with, and not knowing what they are may be harder to ask the questions. So if we're voting for whom, I would say Gary, just because he's experienced those struggles for the past 4 years.
I would concur in that, because there's a lot of history in why we wanted this position. And I think that's important in seeing if this person is able to fill that history.
Okay. So it looks like you're the guy. I will let the administration know, and they can send the details to you. And so you'll be online during this interview process.
So these are virtual, just to reiterate, they're virtual meetings, they're now done in person.
They're going to be virtual meetings. And Mr. Gibbon, do you have any more details on, they'll send you the 3 that they've selected, they'll send you the people they've gotten so far, so you'll know, what their background is and that sort of stuff. And as Francis says, as well as anybody, the things that we've been struggling with here, the things that we're looking for.
Maybe we sent questions we'd like asked to Jim to share with him, or is that breaking some kind of...
No, you can share anything you want with Jim.
It's like a reminder, hey, remember these things.
No, you can send anything you want to Jim. You cannot send it to Gary. Would you do
I will not
that?
send it.
But if you would, please do it this week,
Yeah.
because I think the administration has requested we get all questions to them this week. And so I'm glad you said that, Francis, because it's really important. We're going to be doing some deep diving with these folks. That's why we've got 50 minutes. And so that would be very helpful.
Okay.
Any of you that have questions, if you could get them to me tomorrow, will be all right. Friday morning, at the latest, okay?
Okay.
Gary.
Thank you. I would appreciate any assistance. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else, any comments on the new hire? Do we know if they pick somebody from this process, when they're going to give an offer to that person?
I don't know the answer to that, but I suspect it will be fairly soon, fairly quickly.
Do they have somebody for the new director of planning in line?
I know they had interviews, but I'm not part of that, so I don't know the results of that. The interviews of that took place the day after the initial screening interviews with those that applied for this position, the day after.
Okay. All right. Do we need to do anything else for D, or is that sufficient?
That's great.
Okay.
I'll be voting off questions tomorrow, just so we know.
Okay, let's go back to A, the south end reduction. I'll start off, I'll let you guys know where I am on this. I don't want to get too down into the weeds. Like I said, I think for the most part, they're asking us for either reduce it 50% or not to. My perspective is a little different because I've been in the council seat, even worse, I guess even more so, I've been in Roy Diamond's seat. And Roy, being the city council in Jacksonville, has got a difficult job of juggling the needs of 3 different beaches and then jump into once for 13 different city council districts in Jacksonville. Because whenever there is a project you need to get funded and money you need to bring out here, you're fighting 13 other people that want to build a park in their district, want to, fix a road or a drainage ditch, or want to do something else in their district. And so it gets to be a bit tenuous sometimes. And my concern, because we've already sent half the money back last year, and there's already a letter that the city manager sent out to Mike Hughes, Brian Hughes, I want to say it was last May, saying that they want to enter into an interlocal agreement. In my opinion, they've already anticipate having this money. And so it's a delicate balance. That's number one. Number two, you guys have heard me say before, I know from working in Tallahassee, there's a lot of angst over what the CRAs and other jurisdictions have done. Some of the ones that have gone over, have gone too far, and they've been trying to rein those in and actually trying to eliminate some of those. So that's one of the things you got to be careful with. We have a DRI or 2 DRIs down there that have both been closed out. So you got to remember that the CRA was created to finish those DRIs. So you're a delicate balance trying to justify holding on to those funds, the complete package of funds for a longer period of time. That's on one side. Now the other side, and I've been fighting with this for a while, and that's probably why you probably haven't heard me take a position one way or the other on this. We don't know how long, even though we probably have 20, 22, how many years we have left on the CRA, we don't know if we're going to have that for that long. Tallahassee could do something this year. They could do something in 5 years. And so I get the fact that if we have all the stuff that we have to get done, why are we stretching it out and doing a little bit at a time? Why aren't we doing it all now? And then that way we don't have to worry about that. And that's to me the balance, and that's to me what I'm dealing with. And that's what I was telling you the other day at the workshop, that I think our priority's got to be what should we do at the CRA of running the CRA, and not necessarily as the city as a whole, because we're just giving a recommendation. And it's for those guys to make the decision. I'm probably going to lean towards, I'll get the rest of you guys before I say that, but I just want to give you guys I want to give you guys where I'm perplexed at and where the balance is. And I'll just hear the rest of you guys from there, and Jeff, your light was on first.
Just to clarify on your position, do you have any insight on the 75% line that appeared in that one thing that was distributed? That's almost like teeing up another option, because we've always been presented 50 or 95, and I was surprised to see that line. And
there's always other options that we were asked specifically 50% or 95%. If you want to say neither and say 75, that's up to the board as a whole. Whatever way that the council is going to take that recommendation is fine. But we were specifically asked yes or no.
But we didn't propose the 75. It appeared on that spreadsheet.
And maybe someone tries to split the baby.
Okay. So I was just looking for some background.
I just want to say that from my stance, I believe that if we have the opportunity to increase the velocity of things that we need to get done, that we should do that. And if we can get all the projects done in 5 years and then say, hey, we don't need it anymore, then we can just cut to zero. I don't think it makes any sense to drag it out. As you said, there could be all kinds of things that happen in the future that could end our complete possibility of doing anything. So that's my thoughts.
Francis?
I agree with David. I have 2 thoughts, and it pretty much, I'll just say my answer is very much leaning to no. And I'm saying that for 2 reasons. I do believe that we have a lot of things that we as a CRA have been trying to get done for years, and it's been stretched out or not done. I believe we have enough money in the pot now to get the majority of the things that we visually, tangibly can see and experience and enjoy, which is not hypes, which is not the actual things people can enjoy. get it done now within the next 4 to 5 years. I think that there's enough money after that point, when we reduce it by half, to do those maintenance things and preparing the city to take over the parks in that area, because we'll be able to build and keep those things maintained so that when it comes time for the city to take over that area, it'll be maintained and ready for them, because we'll own the park. We'll maybe own some other properties to make another park in that area. We'll be able to put that money towards part of the Jacksonville City's talking about doing greenways. We can make sure our greenways are covered with our asset, with our money in our CRA. So personally, those are my reasons for right away. My second reason, and I'm leaning more towards the no, is because we still don't know what's left for the things that you don't see. We don't know about the pipes. We don't know about the electrical, whatever, the lighting system. We don't know. I mean, we did do a whole bunch. I mean, like 10 years worth of like sewer systems and water pipes. We did all that. But we still haven't really addressed the roads. We still haven't really addressed the walkways. I still think we should utilize money to take over that land and buy it from the city to make a park that goes across our own little piece of land. Like, there's so many things the city, that area would enjoy if we could use the money to do it. So that's where I'm saying there's two very distinct. Right away we have money to use and projects that we can get done in the next 10 years, and after that would be good. Kind of how I feel.
Gary?
It's always tough following Francis. She knows it's on all of my points, but let me just reiterate a couple of them. Number one, we have not done any planning for the South District since 2011. And in order to make a reasonable decision in reference to this, I think we have to do some planning that's more up to date to be able to really answer the questions. We don't have anything budgeted for incentives. I think we need to start thinking about incentives not only for the downtown district but also for the South Beach district, because there's a major change happening in the retail industry right now, and we've got a number of empty big stores down in the South Beach area where Pier 1 was, where Steinmart was. Books A Million almost went away. There's discussions right now about the possibility of Bed Bath & Beyond going away. What do we do as a CRA to help the developer or those businesses so that we maintain very active retail centers down there? We need incentives. That's not been talked about or even budgeted for. We also have the opportunity to purchase properties down there and do further development. We need to get that into our budget in some way, have some funds available so that we can do further improvements in that area. The whole conversation about enhanced policing initiatives hasn't even been touched on for the South Beach District, and I think that's something that this board should really sit down and discuss. And then finally, my last point, I feel that if we start giving the funds back, we're setting a precedence, and that precedence will reflect on the downtown district also, because we are carrying significant reserves in the downtown district that hasn't been allocated. So what's the chance that those funds are going to go away on us also?
Those funds have been allocated, or they wouldn't be there.
Well, but that's the same thing true with South Beach. I mean, I'm not sure I understand that comment, but I don't think all of the funds are allocated in the downtown district, and they show up as being carried forward every year. So anyways, and until I can get my arms around the planning and really make my decisions on some real thoughts, I have a hard time supporting this.
Okay, Jeff, you back on?
Yeah. We're not talking about going down to zero. So we're going to, even at the 50%, there is considerable funds going out into the future. We do have that one little blip period where it's down, to $1 million or $1.7 million or something like that. But if you look at the city as a whole and the neighborhoods and things like that, through the work of the last 20 years, the South Beach area has been redeveloped. It is in many respects in better shape than most of the other neighborhoods in the city. And there are a lot of areas of the city that could use some heavy infrastructure work and things like that. So I'm kind of still having the attitude that just because we have this district that's generating all this money doesn't mean that, it's not a separate city that is more affluent and better off than the other areas of the city. And for us to be looking for, premium projects or special upgrades to the area when many other areas of the city are in deficient status because they haven't had the capital. I kind of see the point that if we don't have, if we're done basically with the development and we don't have specific identified things at this point in time, that maybe it's put us on par with the rest of the city as far as future calls on available money. So I don't know, I'm just from it goes back to my thing, is this for the city or for the CRA? South Beach, I'm kind of trying to balance there, and I'm kind of leaning towards, I don't necessarily agree with the 50%, but if that's the choice we have, 50 or 95, I'm leaning towards supporting the reduction.
David?
To Jeffrey's point, I believe that, there is positive to help shift some funds. I believe our recommendation should be no, with the duty to find other ways to shift money into the general fund, because like Art said at our workshop, that is there property available to purchase from the city? I want to feel responsible to help the rest of the city, but I also don't want to give up, a big chunk back that we won't see. So.
Francis?
I agree with David. I just want to make one last comment. So I do believe that other parks are more deficient. My biggest problem right now is that South Park, we cannot do any maintenance because we don't own it. I do not want to release any funds until we own that park. Once we own that park, then I would be willing to consider it, because then with the excess money we have after this 50% reduction, we have the funds to allocate towards maintaining something we own. I also agree that at the same time, there are those lots that we can purchase that are city owned, that they're not given to the city from us getting it, like that whole problem we have with the CRA when we asked the question about Sunshine Park. I do believe the ones closer to that one lot that we have just sitting there willy-nilly, we could purchase to build another kind of walk space or memorial or what have you, and that would temporarily shift money for the next couple of years for them to use for the other parks, so they don't have to raise the millage rate. I know the big thing right now is they don't want to raise the millage rate because they do have this deficient amount in the budget. So I get that, but I am with David when it comes to say, we have these projects, we want them done, give us 2 years, then we'll discuss reducing the 50%. Because at that point, we own everything we want to own, and then we can use a tighter budget, squeeze our belts a little bit to start maintaining projects on those. But to do that, we need a plan to say what those are. Thank you.
Yes.
Question.
Hold on. We'll come back to you, Gary.
Jeff, I just want to remind everyone that South Beach was developed 20 years ago in that area down there. And so the infrastructure is at least 20 years old. And chances are we're going to start seeing some major costs for doing further infrastructure work and improving things in that area. Again, until we know what the items are that need to be done, it's hard for me to say, let's reduce the funds. If I had a plan and I knew exactly, basically what the projects were going to be, and I could put a rough cost to them, I could get to a comfort level. But at this time, I'm just not there. There's nobody here at this table that can tell me that we've got everything done that needs to be done down there. And there isn't something else in the future that we're going to have to really consider. Thank you.
Jeff?
This Sunshine Park, basically we're talking the playground, wooden structure, right? That could be torn down and we can rebuild.
Correct.
So we don't have to purchase anything there other than rebuilding it.
Correct.
Right. Okay, so it's not like we have to buy the park, the land or anything. It's just replacing the wooden structure.
When I say purchase land, I'm talking about a different parcel down the street.
Right.
Anybody else with comments? I will entertain a motion. I guess the motion would be 95 or 50.
I'll entertain a motion to say no with a future contingent of revisiting the 50% and say 2 to 3 years.
So your motion is to remain at 95%.
Remain at 95%.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, Madam Clerk?
David McGraw.
Yep.
Jeffrey Jones.
No?
Gary Cato.
Yes.
Francis Kowalski.
Yes.
And Art Grant.
No. It carries. So the recommendation from the CRA would be for them to maintain at 95%. We will have the opportunity, I believe it's a week from today, is that right, Mr. Gilmore?
Yes, sir.
It's a week from today to have a joint meeting with the City Council and to express our opinions. And my suggestion is, and we did a great job here, I'm glad we put all this stuff on the table, to give some good specific recommendations and some ideas, because those guys have a hard decision to make, and we'll go from there. It doesn't really make any sense to get into items B or C because we need to be out of here in about 3 minutes. Tammy, do we have any courtesy floor? I'm sorry. Gilmore?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recommend and ask you to consider having another workshop, potentially the 8th and 12th, so we can continue discussions about the CIP. And I would like to say that I would like to have, as they are prepared to do this, as I mentioned last time, for the Director of Parks and Recreation, Jason and Trevor to be here to discuss and provide their recommendations on how the park can be rebuilt. They've been working very diligently on that, and we have that information there for you to consider.
You throw what day?
The 8th through the 12th, all those days are open.
March 8th through the 12th?
Not Wednesday, because that's,
I will be out of town the whole entire week. I'm sorry, I'll be out of town the whole entire weekend. It's Duval County spring break.
oh, congratulations.
Uh,
Going someplace fun.
I can be remote if you need me to be though, and if it's allowed.
What does the 16th look like? Can we do that?
We don't know if we have a space available on the 16th.
Do you know
but
the
we
space
can have
available time on the 16th?
calendar.
We were looking at the 8th and the 12th because we thought we might have the GAI contract for the next phase of infrastructure downtown ready. But in discussions with Kale, that's not going to be ready then, so we don't have to do it during the 8th or 12th. It could be the 16th.
The 16th, there's a Board of Adjustment meeting, so the only opportunity, if it's available and legal to do it, is to start earlier. To be out of here by 6 is prescient probably. The city clerk has asked us not to double book the council chambers if possible.
So the 16th?
So we're pushing back.
It's either another day or to be out by 6:30. They're pushing it at 6:30 is pushing it. They did request that we get prior advance knowledge before and we go with them to schedule it.
Jeff? Go ahead.
I can meet earlier on the 16th. It's Wednesday, the 17th would be the only day I would have a problem.
I can meet at any time on the 16th.
Gary?
I'm available, whatever.
David?
I am available.
So can we do 4:30 on the 16th?
And to be out by 6, I can let them know that and make arrangements.
Does that work for Jim's work week? Okay.
So tentatively, we'll go with the 16th at 4:30 and be out by 6. That should give plenty of time to coordinate with the clerk's office, but I'll confirm tomorrow.
Okay. Unless we hear something different, let's put that on the calendars.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
That's 4:30 on March the 16th, from 4:30 to 6.
I have one last question before we close the meeting.
And we still have our regular scheduled meeting on the 22nd, remember that?
Yes.
Okay, Francis?
I just have one quick question, I know we have to get out of here. There was rumor or discussions talking about possibly moving all of our meetings to Wednesdays. Has that been addressed?
Well, right now, we have one member that's got a conflict through tax season, so
March 17th.
So we're not going to do it before then, and we probably just need to have a conversation about it because I don't specifically see the need to move, but it doesn't mean I'm opposed to it.
Okay. All right.
So we're going to have our next meeting, we can talk about it.
I'm good either way. Doesn't matter.
Okay. That being said, we are 30 seconds over, and we're adjourned.
Just a reminder, this is still being live streamed until the following meeting begins for the Board of Adjustment at 7 p.m., just so you are all aware.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Carol.
Hey guys.
But the 2 legal first day, the same Thursday is the site.
Yeah, I'm not. How are you?
Good. Questions, I need a question for tomorrow, Scott.
Sir, marching orders have been received.
Thank you.
I'll make sure that people.
If any of you four, besides the one card I've already gotten, want to fill out the speaker card before I transition to the next secretary? No dinner.
If the question were to come up, where it seemed proper for you to say something, if one of us is up there talking, then we'll ask that you speak to that issue. So that then for the,
Yeah, you have your surgery tomorrow?
6 a.m.
but they've been super dry.
I'm always thinking about it. It's just
Sometimes when you see nice activity like that, you don't always get a good result. But most of the time, you do. But when I go down to the city of Jacksonville, we never know. For further medication. I go,
But it'll be over with and you'll feel a lot better.
That's true.
you'll say I'm busy.
yeah.
No, just we didn't
Do
do
you,
it.
do you take independent referrals or you hooked up with the,
They did not, it's not a resolution, because
You're
that's why I was kind of wondering too, they didn't give me.
okay.
So I think
So
it was already
people come
in the
to
budget.
you by their
I
own
wanted to ask you
initiative.
about.
Is that generally?
No, I'm just seeing that, but at the same time, I'm not, because we're not actually doing the actual big award of the contract. So, I think it's just using the
It seems
funds.
like you're in a good
Program is-
location.
But when we want to actually go and start the actual construction part of it, then that's when we'll have to do the resolution, because they'll have them in the budget.
Easy access.
Thank you. Thanks, good luck on next week for your surgery.
Well, I know when we went through the process of obtaining that property, all that exchange, everybody really worked well. We worked directly with them. We had experience
I know we have
some years
me,
ago having done a lot of Mormon churches. We had experience with their lawyers.
I said that
So when that came up, we were able to be in the red
that includes you, still, your time to close. So so we have more time than
Really
the
well.
next meeting.
Okay.
And I will email you that.
Hi, Laura.
Also known as Miller's dog.
I like your father very much.
Well, me too.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I really, he's a super guy.
But the reason why I moved it, I don't know if she told you, is Art's having surgery.
Did you grow up there in,
On Monday.
I did. Yeah, I came down there to be able to figure out, put together, do something that Mark and this is the home.
you came to UNF? I was the original planner, designer, and builder.
Really?
Day one.
Well, you got me. My first visit, I was like, I love it here. I
Yeah.
like the preserve around the outside and everything inside
Put
the center.
that on paper, yeah.
You know what's going on.
Yeah, 1970.
I told them at a minimum, like, they would have to.
Well, in 72.
So, if that's acceptable on this 16th, and then we'll figure it out from there. I'll figure it
Some
out.
things have happened since it opened that I probably wouldn't have agreed
People
with.
said it's still last year. Yeah. Yep.
They moved into some areas that I think would have been better used and better located.
Hey, how are you?
How are you doing?
Good, how are you, sir?
I still go out there every now and again and play the little golf range,
Oh, sure.
driving range.
Part
You
three.
go out there with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good for you.
I think Jim McCumber built it.
It's gonna be a full house.
I think he did. Somebody told me that he built it in a contractual relationship with the university. Because
So we
part
spoiled
of the
you
design
to get you to come back today.
Yes.
We were going
You
to
do have one
the
speaker card that.
9 holes that were stretched out all around the edge of the campus. And that big lake that you see as you go in off of St. John Buck, I left that big island out in the middle as the clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
And that would have been the first tee. The drive.
Thank you. I put that last time.
But
Yeah.
Anything I can do for you? No, Nope, I'm good.
Good, thank you. You're gonna get the vote tonight?
Yeah.
All right. Who's this?
Good, how are you? Out of sorts?
This is the, this is me.
Do you mind? I don't
know what this is. They're
Like, normally I would email it, but you know, it's not for me.
But
I will save it and I will share it. And then I'll just call her tomorrow.
we're only 2 on somebody else. But he's your own area.
So mine is like, what are your? Sorry. I appreciate it, man, I'm sorry. And the last thing I will say is. Okay. But Sheila said, if you do that, then you can button up. Yeah. Keep it right.
So remember that when I was 18, all your dog surgery. I wanted you and then 50. Almost like they even spelled my last name right. God. Look up.
Where the dorms on campus.
You can see pages. Yeah. Or what was standard at this time.
Probably. Just not allowed to lift anything right now.
We started off with little play. It
But they
was
can get
only
elevated.
the 2 years. And there was to be no housing there. A lot of philosophy went into it based on politics.
Overperforming,
Pure
because
politics.
their pressure's got to zero.
We had a bunch of politicians who wanted downtown right on Telluride. Where if you're crossing the Matthews Bridge, if you look right, you'll see all that port activity. That's where we were supposed to be with something.
New corny.
But it took some real
It's crazy.
heavy duty activity
So
to
hopefully the
get
pressure.
it out here. The Dana Point Bridge being one of those things.
How you doing?
Necessity in order to
Good.
satisfy the black community
George?
over on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, the black leadership, you know, back then,
Okay, well, we have a quorum.
very
Three of you,
very
right?
few blacks came over the Magnetic
Well, hold on a
Bridge.
second, I think.
We
Now, how many total do we have?
had
We only have
from
one
the
on,
black
right?
community to the University of
Two on.
Baltimore,
No, two on.
pretty accessible to them.
Sure.
And one
Okay,
of
so
those
we have a total of
immediate,
7?
But we were also
We got a
looking
total
at
of
the
7.
idea of having the beltway around
Then you
the
gotta have
city
4.
at the time.
Yes.
So if you got 3 that's not gonna show up, we still should. So there's one more coming, right?
One more, yeah.
So it should work.
I think this one's we only have 2 tonight. don't we?
Only 2 cases.
Yeah. Dan, we're on a hot roll.
I'd like to, pay grade increase if I double my salary.
This is your second meeting, don't get pushed.
Oh,
You get this instead.
I think,
I was told to give you this.
I think you're the first second. Was it today?
Not that I'm aware of.
that's all
What
right.
happened this morning?
I got a notice saying that there's an epic workshop at the city council that.
Yes.
Was that today?
I don't think it was.
No, I hope
So
not.
24th.
No.
24th, that sounds right.
24th, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up. But by the way, Dave, I hereby double your salary.
Yeah, great. I'll take this bling that I just received instead. This is better.
Consider it done.
Thank you. It really is. Good.
Oh, man.
No, that was last night, that's fine.
And then quickly realized that I was here on the wrong night, turned around, and go back.
John, at 10 a.m.
That's right, yeah. I think it was 24th.
Were we supposed to do something besides show up?
I think it's online. Don't you register that? I believe, for the ethics. Actually, they sent, I got an email. That's right. Yeah. But I think it's online. I don't think it's in person. Oh. Okay. I may be wrong, actually. You know what? Hang on.
Yeah, I would not to pick that up either.
I just, maybe I was assuming it was online.
She did.
There's no way that that.
In the morning, get with me if you would like to hear them.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
I think she'll be here at 10, so I guess it's not.
The exclusive.
Right.
You,
That's one of the reasons we're actually back there, because those parking spaces are built in the public right of way. They're not going to just give you those parking spaces. They're still going to be available for use when you guys are not open, should that remain public. So it'll be a non-exclusive use. For sure. Makes sense.
I'd like to have it because I already have the similar.
It says virtual and engaging.
I didn't see a link or anything, but I
Never
made
got
it.
that one. That's a full set.
Yeah, it's a webinar. And once you register, it will send you a link.
I got it. Okay, thank you.
Hmm?
just can't plan. I call the ninth meeting of the Jacksonville Beach Zoning Variance Board in session. Before we begin, as you notice, there are 4 of us here tonight. And normally, we have at least 5. And the guidelines require that even if we're only 4, you still need 3 positive votes to be able to have your request approved. And since that's easier to do when there are 5 people on the board who are present and vote, you all have the option of coming before us as a body of 4 and hope that no more than 1 will vote against you. Or you can postpone it until another meeting, and we'll hope that we'll have 5 people at that night. Yes?
When would the next available meeting be?
Ward?
Probably at this point, April. We would have to get on the list again, and yeah, it would probably be the first meeting in April at this point in time.
The first meeting is April 6th.
Yeah.
The next meeting will be April 6th.
Yes?
Suppose we do not get the required exclusive vote that you're talking about from the 3 who are here. Does that become a matter of appealability?
Not as long as there's a quorum. Not based on the grounds that there's just 3.
So
Or
what?
actually, there's 4 tonight.
Yeah,
There's 4.
but you have to have 3.
You have 3 votes.
You have to have 3 votes, even if all 7 of them are present. Yes.
And that's the essence of my question is, if we do not get the so-called positive vote, does that put us in greater jeopardy?
No, it just delays the process.
Excuse me?
It just delays the process.
If you're not comfortable doing it because somebody votes against it.
Yeah.
Would you just have to reapply, or how does that work?
No, just let George know that you want to be on the first available meeting, and we'll put you on it. Yeah, part of this is that we don't think that anybody should be penalized because our board doesn't have all of its members present. And there's no negative bias that will come your way if you want to postpone the meeting.
I think this gentleman's question had to do with the final decision of the board.
Right, and I think what Mr. Knight was saying is they could appeal, but they cannot appeal on the grounds alone that there were only 4 members.
That's
If you
right.
have other grounds on which you could appeal, then you can go about it that route.
So you're saying there would be no connectivity? You're saying that the line would be drawn between the action of the board and the civility of appeal?
Well, maybe I could answer that. So tonight, if you go before the board, tonight's decision will be a final decision as board, which you would then follow with your normal appellate rights as if there were 5 people on the board, okay?
Yeah, understand.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's still not the debate again for the reason for appeals. There's some other grounds for appeal that could be.
Well, it's an appeal to the circuit court. Yes.
We need about 2 minutes to talk with our client, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably call my wife too. So if you do get denied, we could just pay for the money and reapply?
I'm sorry, I can't.
You can go forward to the microphone.
If you do get denied, you could just go through the process again?
Yes, but you have to pay a new fee.
Pay a new fee and go through it again?
Yeah.
So you could still get on in April if you pay the fee?
Well, let me clarify this now. If you were to be denied tonight, your request was denied, just as at any other time, you have a right to either appeal or you have a right to file another application. That application has to be different than this application. It has to be a reduction of at least 25% of what you're asking in order to be scheduled again immediately. Under normal conditions, if you're denied, you could wait a period of 12 months. You could come back with the exact same application and have it heard again. Okay? Just want to make sure you understand that.
So you said it could be like 12 months.
The Land Development Code says you can't come back with the same application until a period of 12 months after you're denied.
You heard what he just said?
Okay, at this point, can we
Come back soon.
take a roll call and vote on the minutes, and then call each case, and at that time, when each case is called, they can make their decision.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Now, 1 minute.
Yeah, you got time. You got time.
Roll call. Scott Cummings. Alexi Gonzalez. Here. John Moylan. Here. Francis Reddington. Jeff Trudeau. Owen Corey.
Present.
Dan Amari.
Present. The microphone sounds horrible. Just so you know. Well,
Well, I feel there may be a groundswell of approval, people wanting me to do this again next year since I had the short meetings.
I've had no ex parte communications.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I know one of the presenters said he wanted to be back in a minute, it looks like he had to make a phone call.
Well, in the meantime, I move we approve minutes from the regular board meeting held February 2nd, 2021.
Second.
Second?
Second.
We move to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes have been approved. I think he's fine on it. Yes. The bar down the street, ready to go.
so I'm assuming if they choose not to have their case heard tonight, the proper language would be defer the case until there is a full board. Something to that effect, is a deference.
So that if in fact there was not full board at the next meeting,
Defer the case, I'm thinking is the proper language. I'm not sure about the until future date.
have you all decided what you would like to do? Yes.
In behalf of the project.
Wait, hold on, one moment. Could we please call each case and call the applicant up
Okay.
so they can be sworn in and they can give their decision then, please.
So we're still waiting for our first case tonight to come back and let us know what he'll be deciding, and then we'll get to your case.
Okay, which is our first case for tonight?
Board calls case number BOA number 20-100211, applicant owner Stephen J. Park, property address 3273 Horn Court, parcel ID 180924-0050, legal description lot 7, block 12, Jacksonville Beach Heights, current zoning RS2. Motion to consider a variance from Land Development Code section 34-337E1E for 48.6% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum to allow for a swimming pool and paver patio addition to an existing single-family dwelling.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And please state your name and address clearly into the microphone for the record.
I do. My name is Stephen Park, and I live at 3273 Horn Court in Jackson Beach.
And can you tell the board what the nature of the hardship is that is caused by your property?
What was that?
Can you let the board know what the nature of your hardship is that is caused by your property?
I'm just trying to build a pool. So I think my house is already over. So I'm just trying to build a pool, a small pool with a little paver area right in front of between my house and the pool.
Okay.
And so just by building any pavers, it puts me over.
So are we to understand that you do want your case voted on this evening? or
Yes, I think I'm going to give it a go.
Okay.
But yeah, so I guess what should I tell why I want it? Or?
Actually, we're interested in order for us to approve your request, there needs to be some sort of hardship that's created by your property. And you might think of it as an undersized piece of property because it's smaller than the standard lot.
Yes, so it is smaller than the standard lot. It's on Horn Court, Horn and Foley, smaller than normal lots, than the standard Jacksonville Beach lot. So it is small, as you can see. And so just by building a normal sized house, it puts you over. And so I just want, I have kids and I'm just trying to build a pool in my backyard. And with a small lot, it was hard to do. I lived in another lot in Jack Beach and it was a lot bigger. So just building a pool with a small little area for patio that wouldn't put you over.
I would point out that the minimum size of the lot normally for that zoning district would be 7,500 square feet. Mr. Park's lot is 6,085 square feet, so it is considerably smaller.
And I'm just trying to build something actually smaller than what a lot of the houses have in the area. So I feel like I'm not asking for too much, especially with the lot size.
Well, where exactly is the patio going to be?
What was that?
There's going to be a patio that you're going to put in? You're putting in a patio?
Yeah. So it's basically just going to be 2 feet on either side because we're putting up a child. We'd like to put up a child gate.
Oh, okay.
Because I got a 3.5-year-old and a baby on the way, so we're going to put up a baby gate around it. So it'll be 2 feet going around the pool. And then, as you can see, our patio jets out right there. So we'll have a little gap in between that house area and the pool.
What's the distance? I'm looking at this survey, and I don't see a distance between the edge of that patio described on the, I guess that's the east side and the vinyl fence. Is that 10 feet or 15 feet? Or?
Yeah, that's a good distance. It's to scale.
I just didn't see one of it. It looks maybe to see if that.
I think it's 14 feet.
14 feet. Okay.
From the back of the lot to the. So like I said, we try to provide as much room behind there as we could with setbacks and everything.
And that's a closed street. It's not vacant.
What's that?
Seminole Street.
There's an easement, a 25-foot easement on that side of the house, so I don't have a neighbor on that side.
Right. It's all
It's a 25-foot easement between us and Riptide.
And there's a covered patio right behind the house right now?
Yes, there's a covered patio behind.
Was that there when you bought the house?
Yes. Yes.
Have you made any additions to the property since you purchased the home?
No, I haven't. I really didn't realize this issue when I bought the house, but I probably would have made me look elsewhere. And I've spoken with my neighbors, and they all have something similar, and they're all okay with what I provided. I've talked to all three neighbors around me. Even the neighbor 30 feet away lived out.
Well, one of them isn't happy.
What's that?
Jake and Maureen.
Jake and Maureen?
Is that this letter,
We'll get to that.
oh,
Yeah, I mean, so the three neighbors that are in my backyard are who I talked to. So that, I'm assuming that's another neighbor, not in the backyard area.
Any more questions?
I have none.
No questions. Okay, we'll call the public here. Actually, do we have?
We have, this is for the next one.
Okay.
We have one letter from Jake and Maureen Hankins. Subject regarding BOA number 20-100211, public hearing, date 17 February 2021. My bottom line up front, this BOA asks for coverage that approaches 50% and may be what the board is currently allowing. I assume you have approved other variances up to what is currently being asked for here on Horn and Pulliam. I'd like to propose this coverage creep needs to stop, and if the design you are considering can be reduced in any way, then please do. As a longtime resident of this neighborhood, would ask the board to consider reducing the amount of lot coverage for the following reasons. As I recall, all homes built on this street and others in the coastal oak section of the neighborhood had to originally be built with approval for over 35% coverage, as the 1920s era plotting of this area was originally laid out with a beach cottage vision for this section of the city. This new BOA would be an additional adjustment from the original home build. It is well known by residents who are original owners, number two, it is well known by residents who are original owners that builders would not include pool and patio packages with the original home build to avoid conflict with the city on lot coverage. Number three, if memory serves, residents of St. John's and Merrill Boulevards in the late 90s, early 2000s for homes built by BestCon were built smaller and no more than 1.5 stories to fit the form, fit, and function of the existing surrounding neighborhood with a lot coverage of under 40%. This, I understand, was by general agreement with city planners. Owners subsequently over time on these streets were allowed to build after the fact small pools or patios should the planning board allow to no more than 45% coverage. With the opening of Horn and Pulliam courts, larger full 2-story homes were built with similar to slightly larger lot coverages of St. John's and Merrill. Approval of these larger homes allowed some loss of privacy with rear setback neighbors in single-story homes, as well as allowing aftermarket pools that went well past the 40 to 45% lot coverage, further encroaching setbacks. Sincerely, Jake Hankins, 3273 St. John's Boulevard, Jacksonville Beach.
Can I reply to that?
Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against this particular request? Okay, yes, you have an opportunity to respond.
So it sounds like that neighbor is on St. John's, which is not on one of my streets. I'm assuming that's pretty far away. I turn onto St. John's, and then I turn onto Ponce de Leon, then I turn on to Horn Court. So it sounds like this neighbor's pretty far away. And then they did redesign, they're talking about the 1920s, and they did redesign this area. Since then, it's been developed, and the lot coverages were cut smaller. I'm just trying to increase my lot by 7% to build a pool for my family. That's all I'm asking for. So I feel like it's not asking too much, especially when other houses have something similar.
Okay. You may be
All
seated.
around.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, just similar houses have it all around me. I'm asking for a lot less, I feel like, than what other houses have.
Anything else?
I mean, like I said, I talked to the three neighbors all around me, and they're all okay with it.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm on record, so.
You may be seated.
What's that?
You may be seated.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I call the meeting back before the board.
Well, Mr. Chairman, as our resident mathematician, can you tell us
Yes.
what lot coverage he would be working with if he had a standard size lot?
Yes, if you had a standard size lot, he would actually be at 39.5% lot coverage. So what are you requesting? The chair would be more than happy to entertain a motion of some sort.
I'll venture to support his request.
So you're moving that we approve it?
I would move we approve it.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Alexia Gonzalez,
Yes.
Owen Crowley,
Yes.
Dan O'Malley,
Yes.
John Rowland.
Yes. Your motion is approved.
Thank you.
Next case?
What's that?
Case, board calls case number EOA number 21-100001. Applicant, agent Hilton and Scott Meadows, owner Miller Coos Family Trust. Property address 350 13th Avenue South, parcel ID 176-272-0000, legal description lots 5 and 6, block 134, Pablo Beach South. Current zoning C1. Motion to consider a variance from Land Development Code sections 34-377 for 12 parking spaces in lieu of 17 spaces required to allow for a 700 square foot addition to an existing medical office.
If you could please raise your right hand.
Sir.
Will you please raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you could please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Hilton T. Meadows. The address is 900 Sesame Boulevard, Suite 103, Jacksonville, Florida, 32211.
And have you decided to move forward with this tonight, or would you like to,
I'm sorry, sir?
would you like for us to consider your proposal tonight, or would you like to postpone it to another meeting?
Based on what we have kind of preliminarily heard and questioned, and this hasn't been an issue before, we have mixed emotions, quite frankly, about whether or not to proceed. We understand the opportunity, but we understand the criticality of what we're trying to get done for the client who happens to be here with us, not Mr. Kaus, but his daughter and his son-in-law, and they're in a rather critical medical activity in that they provide services of a nature related to and regulated by the state of Florida. They're licensed to do whatever it is they do there in terms of physical therapy as prescribed by physicians who are authorized to make such referrals. We would really find it difficult we find it really hard to believe that this would not be transparently and affirmatively acceptable to this board. However, given probabilities, mathematically and otherwise, and we're not saying that we're withdrawing because we have any disrespect for either one of you individually, or for the board, or for the city of Jacksonville Beach. We are strictly, in some ways, we're playing a little bit of a numbers game. And we're not right now prepared to fulfill that numbers game. So having said that, our client would like to withdraw this for tonight's hearing and have it come back on the agenda on what, April the 6th, I believe you said?
Well, if not sooner.
I beg your pardon?
If not sooner. I'm not real sure about how the schedule is and how many people are already scheduled, but you'll be put to the next available slot. Which,
We do have 2 meetings every month,
Yes.
so there will be 2 meetings in March. If the schedule is relatively open in March, you might get put on the schedule in March. If
Yes.
not, it might be April, either our first meeting in April or second, or
based on the caseload right now, I don't see it being beyond April 6th. It may actually be before then.
I beg your pardon?
Based on the caseload right now that I'm seeing with the applicants coming in, and I didn't check tonight before I come in here, or I could give you an exact answer, but you will be put on the next available slot. That slot could be in March. It may not take all the way to April, but at the very longest period of time, I believe would be the April meeting. But I can't confirm that right now because I don't know the caseload, but obviously with just 2 cases tonight, I think there's 2 cases next meeting, there may be an opportunity to get you in sooner. And we would certainly do that if we have the availability.
All right. Having said that, I think it would be prudent for us to go ahead and withdraw for tonight. We have enjoyed working with your planning department. I want to compliment each one of them as being some of the most courteous people we deal with. We work in 20 different states. I've been at this business now for 58 years, and seldomly have I ever run into people any more courteous and any more helpful, because that's exactly what we have found. And I compliment you all for the condition that I now see Jacksonville Beach is in. My son and I were talking about that as we were driving down here. And the various times I've been out here, I have never seen this beach in such an attractive condition. So you all are obviously doing a good job.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll look
Thank you.
forward to seeing you when we get scheduled again.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
If you guys would like to call us, give us a call tomorrow, we can let you know when the next date will be, okay? Okay. Thank
So
you.
for the record, BOA number 21-100001 will be deferred to the next available scheduled meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved, is there a second?
Second.
And seconded. We adjourn. Our next meeting is on March the 2nd, and there are 4 cases scheduled for that meeting.
Okay, very good.
So all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.